and welcome to episode 7, the latest Hey United Talk podcast. I hope you are all well and are looking forward to the episode. As we've had a few asking this week when the next podcast was going to be, so which is good, and we're glad that you're enjoying it. We'll get on to things straight away. So I hope you enjoy the episode. The key topics that me and Jordan will be discussing this week are the Derby County game, the FA Cup third round tie. We're going to talk a bit about United's formation and the number 10 rule at United. So that's going to be an interesting topic, and that's something that's new for this week. We're going to talk about, with it being January, we're going to talk about the January transfer window and a bit about Lucas Moura. And to finish, we'll preview the Stoke City game, which will take place on Monday night at Old Trafford. So to start off, we'll talk about Friday night and the third round tie against Derby. So United kicked off their FA Cup campaign with what was a hard-fought 2-0 win over Derby County. I unfortunately wasn't at Old Trafford as I was on a short holiday in Paris after New Year, so my dad had my season ticket for Friday night, but I was actually able to catch the game on French television, which was pretty fortunate, as this was probably one of the only United games that wasn't on English TV for a while, so that was very fortunate. So I caught the game. Actually, I thought as a neutral it was actually a very watchable game, and the scoreline reflects quite a straightforward night for United, but I don't think it was at all. And I think for the neutral supporter, as I said, it was a really good game. It was end-to-end for large periods. So, Jordan, what did you make of the game, and what did you make of United's performance on Friday?
Well, we had a few scares, obviously, in the first half, but we dominated the game. We had control from the first one. Obviously, Pogba was running the show, as he always does. Firstly, I missed the second half, but I've seen the highlights. I saw the full first half. Just controlled the game, and at the end, I don't know how it was in the second half. In terms of how desperate we were to finally score, but it was a cracking goal from Jesse that broke the deadlock, and we went on to seal it from there.
Yeah, I actually thought the performance was quite good, and Jose fielded a strong team as we expected, and as you said, I thought Pogba played very well again in the midfield, and he was at the heart of United's build-up play like he was at Everton. And it was interesting that Jose continued with the 4-3-3 formation that we fielded at Everton after the good performance there, which we're going to go into a bit more detail later. But in terms of the team, Mkhitaryan was given another chance and actually played it in centre midfield, but again struggled to get into the game, and he was taken off at half time by Jose. But Jose did say that he was unfortunate to be subbed off, and he did feel for him, because the reason he subbed him off was because he felt that Rashford wasn't going to score, which is, I think, fair, because Rashford, I think he hit the post twice. He missed a great chance, so not great for Mkhitaryan, but I don't think it's quite the end. I think it felt like Jose did feel and sympathise with him for a bit, so I would expect him to hang about until at least the end of the season, and
I'd agree there.
We'll see what happens with that. But just on the point of Rashford again, he couldn't find the back of the net. He was very unlucky. He hit the post a few times, and it just wasn't his night. But his bad form is continuing, and we've spoke about before. It is a little bit of a concern. But how can't we keep bringing up Jesse Lingard? Because fortunately, as Rashford's form has plummeted, I think Lingard just gets better and better, and we'll keep mentioning him every week, Jordan, but it's hard not to right now, isn't it?
Yeah, the stuff he's doing it's what every one of us as United fans dream of.
Yeah.
He grew up as a United fan, and he's just clicked into gear this season, the last few months, and I think he's proven to be a really important player. A couple of months ago, everyone was saying he's an important squad player, and now he's actually turning out to be an important first team player.
Yeah. I think at the moment you would probably say he's our best player at the moment, and clearly our most influential player at the moment. As well, it was another fantastic goal that he just seems to consistently score. I think it's 9 goals now from the end of November to the start of January, which is brilliant, and 11 for the season now. So if he carries on in this vein of form, he's going to get over 20 goals.
Yeah, it is crazy. I think I made the point last week that this is his best tally ever for us. Like, better than his first 2 seasons combined.
Yeah.
Since he broke through. So it's exceptional what he's doing, and hopefully he keeps it up and can continue to make that impact. Because we
Yeah.
need that type of player, those type of goals. Because we rarely have a player who scores as many goals as that, like as that you can watch over and over again.
Yeah, I think after the two home draws to Burnley and Southampton Friday night, as the game went on, you maybe think, oh, another home draw. But I think Friday night in the second half, it had a bit of a different feel to it. I thought we were going for it and we were attacking quite well. And I did think it was only a matter of time until the goal came, but in the fashion that it was brought by Lingard was top quality. And
Hmm.
I think it's things like that. Do you know, like winning games out of nowhere? Really, I mean, it was just
Yeah,
a little layoff to Lukaku, and he swung his right leg and it flew into the top corner. And that's, like you say, it's stuff of dreams, really, for Lingard.
yeah. It's just that moment, like just a split moment of magic. It's just out of nowhere. He's
And
done it a few times. Obviously, he did it in the FA Cup final for us.
yeah,
Um, Even his goal against Watford, it just comes out of nowhere. There's no one really in the team who can
yeah,
score goals like that.
yeah. I was just about to say, I think as we've mentioned before, I think the United team and squad itself, we do lack that bit of quality out of nowhere.
Yeah,
And in the outfield, you can only think of Pogba really that can do that, can't you? And
yeah,
but now
especially
obviously
from long range.
Lingard's now, yeah, and Lingard's now being able to do that. So as as we say every episode at the moment, we just hope he can carry it on because it's brilliant at the moment. Um, but overall, I think it was a good, solid win, and I think I'm just going to quickly mention you've got to give credit to Derby, as I thought they did make it a real cup tie. They didn't come to Old Trafford and sit back. I thought they
Yeah, they had their opportunities.
yeah, they had a real go, and another night it could have been theirs. You know, they brought 6,000 fans to Old Trafford on Friday night, which is good and made a good atmosphere. But I
Yep.
think it was pleasing to see us advance to the next round because, as we said last week, the FA Cup is our most realistic chance of winning a major trophy this season. So, which is why Jose fielded as a strong team as he did. But as you'll know now, United have drew Yeovil Town in the fourth round, which I think is a good draw for us, but a good
Yep.
draw for the FA Cup as well. And because Yeovil are the lowest ranked side left in the competition, so to draw United is obviously great for them, and I'm sure they'll raise a lot of funds for their club. And I think it's an ideal draw for me because before the draw, I said I wanted either a big team at home or a lower league side away, and
Yep.
we got one of them. What's your thoughts on the fourth round tie, Jordan?
Oh yeah, I'm excited about that. It's it's those ties that you love, like those little smaller teams going away from home.
Yeah,
Obviously we played them a few years ago, and Herrera scored that wonderful goal, and it's just the reaction of him and the fans.
yeah.
It's just the away days are so, like the away games we have are they're really good, and the support is so much better. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I think, like I said, to draw Yeovil away, it just makes it a bit more of an exciting tie. I think, obviously in the FA Cup, you prefer a home tie um, in terms of getting through.
Yeah,
Uh, but the fact that we play them away is better for our fans anyway, because I'm sure it'll be on TV as well. But it just makes it a lot more watchable away. I think as a cup tie,
yeah,
it's much better. Um, a good tie, but a tie that you would expect us to get through clearly. Sadly, all the other bigger teams, I've actually drawn mostly poor sides as well. I think City got Cardiff, Spurs got Newport, Liverpool got West Brom, and Chelsea got either Newcastle or Norwich. So
hmm
you would expect all of them to get through, and United as well. So in the fifth round, you would expect a big tie, and hopefully we'll get, I'm hoping that we get a big team at Old Trafford if we do advance through to the fifth round. So that's obviously something that we're looking forward to, and
yeah.
I think it's the 21st of January or 20th 21st of January that weekend. So um, that's something that we'll look forward to. It might be the week after, actually, 27th. I'm not sure. End of January anyway. So the next topic we're gonna talk about is the formation at United at the moment and the number 10 rule. As a request from one of our listeners, Ben, who's been listening since the start, um, he brought it up after the last episode about the number 10 rule at United and whether a number 10 has ever really worked at United, and our current number 10s in Mata and Mkhitaryan. So, and I thought it was a good point from him, so I've brought it straight into this episode. So thanks, Ben, for that, and me and Jordan are going to go through it now. Um, I think it's a good topic to discuss, and
Yeah.
I'm keen to hear what your thoughts are, Jordan, but and our listeners' thoughts as well. But Ben raised the point that a conventional number 10, has it ever really worked for United? He said Sheringham did okay, but he wasn't really a traditional number 10. You know, Rooney did okay there, but not brilliant. Mata and Mkhitaryan the same, you know, okay, but not great. Is it that the number 10 doesn't suit United's style, or is it that we don't have enough quality in that position? What do you think?
I think it's probably the matter of quality. Obviously, it's a formation that United have only adapted to over the last few seasons. We've been used to two strikers or a centre forward rather than a 10 sort of. But I think we have to stick with that formation. If we get the right player in, then I think it's okay. Last season, I think I preferred the 4-3-3. I'm not a fan of the 4-2-3-1, but I think having a number 10 is good. My preferred formation now, in what I think is our best squad, and I tweeted it to our page a couple of days ago, was the 5 at the back with Valencia and Young, sort of, you know how we played against Arsenal and Watford.
Yeah.
I think that would be our best suited formation.
Okay. Yeah, I think for me it's a bit of both. I think we don't have the enough quality in the number 10, although we do have Mata and Mkhitaryan, but they do okay, but for me it's not quite enough, and I think maybe Griezmann could give us that. Would Griezmann be the perfect number 10 in there?
I think Griezmann or Paulo Dybala, but
yeah, Dybala, yeah.
I can't see us getting either of those. I think Griezmann will go to Barcelona.
Okay.
And I can't see Dybala leaving Juventus, but I think we do need to get some quality there. Ozil would be a brilliant signing.
Yeah.
It's just that touch of class that he has. But you know, Lingard's doing his job there at the minute, and if he continues to provide, then we might not need to buy anyone else if he can continue to stay consistent and step up to that level of quality that we need.
Yeah, I think, and like you said, I think you could say Lingard has been fantastic there, really, when he's played there.
Mm-hmm.
Again, not conventionally number 10, but he's been drifting in and out of that position during games and done very well there. So for now, I think we're in a good place in that position, and I think he should stay there for the remainder of the season, because you can't argue with his form. But if we did bring in the likes of a Griezmann or a Dybala or an Özil, and if they then failed, then you would say that maybe we need to have a look at it and try to adopt something else. But I think with the right player in there, with a Griezmann, with a Dybala, I'm sure we would see the benefit of that.
Mm-hmm.
And this links into the topic and the debate regarding United's formation, because, as you said, the 4-2-3-1, I think Jose has favoured that at times this season, especially at home. And I know some of the fans have been after a change, especially over the Christmas period against Southampton and Burnley with those two draws. And Mourinho did change it. He played a 4-3-3 like he did in his Chelsea days at Everton, and we won 2-0. And he stuck with it at home against Derby, which I was surprised, and we won 2-0 again. So I think it's an interesting topic, and because I think at home the 4-2-3-1 makes sense, because it gives us that extra attacking player to create space and create chances, and especially, you know, against the lower sides in the Premier League in the bottom half, you would expect them to sit deep. So I think a number 10 makes sense. But what's your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, as I said earlier, the 4-3-3 was my preferred last season. Obviously, it's the 5 this year, but obviously you can't play with 5 at the back at home.
Mhm.
It could work. We used it against Spurs, and I thought we were brilliant against Spurs.
Yeah.
Obviously, we changed it when City came to Old Trafford. Those are the only two big clubs that have came to Old Trafford this season. 4-2-3-1 worked well early in the season when we battered teams,
Mhm.
but recently, no, I don't think it is good enough at home. We struggled against Bournemouth. Um, we just about, and then we drew with Burnley and Southampton. I think what we should use is the 4-3-3 at home.
Yeah.
It gives Pogba that freedom to get involved. I mean, we can't have him sitting beside Matic or leaving Matic isolated on his own. So I think the 4-3-3 works. Whether you throw for Herrera in there or Fellaini went fit,
Yeah.
that wouldn't bother me at all because the three of them would work. Obviously alongside Matic.
Yeah.
So even if we sign a midfielder, we've been linked with Jorginho at times from Napoli. So I think depends. We'll see how Mourinho goes, but I think the 4-3-3 would be best suited at Old Trafford.
Yeah. I think the 4-3-3 gives us obviously an extra midfielder.
Hmm.
But as he played, because Pogba played in a 4-3-3 in Juventus with the likes of Pirlo and Marquisio and those sort of players. But I think it's, as you've seen in the last two games, Pogba's been brilliant against Everton and Derby, and it just allows him to
Yep.
excel and just to get forward. Because if you think back to the game against Burnley, obviously Mourinho put Matic at centre back, and Pogba was literally playing so deep that game. And when we needed a goal, Pogba was picking the ball up
Yeah.
in centre back, and he should have been around the number 10 area. And I think it's because, like you said, he doesn't want to leave Matic, so he's on his own. But I think with the extra Herrera in there, it makes a big difference.
Hmm.
And I think if we signed another quality centre midfielder, then the 4-3-3 really could be great for us. I think we're just missing that like extra bit of quality. You know, if Matic sits and then Pogba plays alongside another really quality centre midfielder, Herrera's okay, but he's not Pogba quality. So if you had another player similar to Pogba in the 4-3-3 with Matic just in front of them,
Hmm.
then it could be really, really good. And if you have Lukaku through the middle, and then you've got options on the flanks of Lingard, Martial, Rashford, I think it could be really, really good as well. Is that what you think?
Yeah. If we get that right winger, I think. Oh, I would like Martial would be my preferred option at the left.
Mhm.
Obviously Lukaku central.
Mhm.
But if we sign the right midfielder and winger, I think it could work really well.
Yeah, I think so. And like we've said, we've got options in the flank areas. Obviously, Martial and Rashford can play on the left. Lingard can drift in and out of the left if he needs to, similar to the right hand side. I think we are missing a quality right winger, but Lingard, Rashford, they can do the job there. So yeah, I think the 4-3-3. I agree. I do like the formation. I think it gives you a good balance in the team. So I think it's going to be interesting to see if Jose continues with the 4-3-3 for the foreseeable future. Obviously, it'll change depending on who we're playing and things like that. But I think from the last two games, I think we should stick with it as well.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens with this one. I think he will continue with it. I hope so anyway. But we'll wait and see. And I know obviously the boys have gone to Dubai this week, and I said he said sorry that he wanted to work on some tactics out in Dubai because over the Christmas period they've just been focusing on rest and getting their fitness back for all the games around Christmas. So I think if the team are able to work on some tactics out there, which they will be, that'll be a huge benefit for us as well, won't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's a good break for the players. So we need that refreshment sort of, and I think it came at the right time. And Stoke lost their game as well in the cup
Yep.
rather than drawn.
Yep.
So it worked out really well for us, and we've got plenty of days now to work on that.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing the pictures coming out of from United at the minute on the Twitter account, and it looks like
Yeah.
they're in a brilliant facility. I mean, I wish we could all go there as well, but it looks really top quality, and I guess you'd expect that with United, but it looks like they're having a good break, and they've got some really good facilities, and I think, like you said, it was a good opportunity. I know the team have done it in the past. I think under Fergie they've travelled to the Middle East. I know under Moyes that I think we went to Dubai. I think with Moyes, obviously that didn't help, but hopefully it'll be different this time round. But yeah, I think it's a nice break for the players, and we've got quite a tough January. We've got trips to Burnley. A trip to Burnley, sorry. We've got a trip to Wembley to play Tottenham, and then another away trip to Yeovil. So I think it's a good break for the players, and
Yeah.
I think they come back on either Saturday evening or Sunday before playing Stoke on the Monday. So hopefully that will be a good break for the players. I know the night that they got there did absolutely lash down, which
Yeah.
wasn't the idea of warm weather training camp, but I think it was just a storm, a passing storm, and it's been sunny there since. Uh, so we're going to talk about January now and the transfer window. So we talked about it last week. Since last week, not much has really happened. Well, nothing's happened on the United front. I know last week we discussed areas for improvement and discussed the likes of the fullback areas, the central midfielder and the winger are the priority positions, not just for January but maybe in the summer as well. Me and you both, Jordan, said last week, and I know you've said on Twitter this week as well, that Mahrez is the player that we want.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. I know a lot of the fan base want Mahrez as well, and I know Liverpool are sniffing around him, so he may end up there, which would be a real shame. But it is quite disappointing that we're not in for him, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think I made the point last week. He's the perfect signing. He's a right winger. He's exactly what we need, and he can play in the Champions League.
Yeah, yeah,
He's got that bit of flair that we don't have really. I mean, the only player I can think of is Pogba and Martial that can lift fans up their seat, and like as soon as they get the ball, you know something's going to happen. I feel like Mahrez could do that with United and perform around better players.
yeah, totally agree. And as we touched on before, he's that type of player that can produce that bit of magic out of nowhere to make a difference in a game. And he's doing that for Leicester at the moment. He's playing really, really well. It is disappointing. I think I was looking at the odds today, and I think we've drifted out to about 33 to 1 to sign him. So I think there's absolutely no chance that he's going to be a United player. So unfortunately, as much as we'd like it to happen, it's not going to happen. So I think we need to move on. And I think Liverpool are sniffing around him, so he may end up there, which would be a real shame. But I think for them, he's probably an ideal replacement for Coutinho. So we'll see if he ends up there. Hopefully not, because if he goes there, it means that we're not going to be able to like him anymore as a player. um, However, the major story is that United are apparently in anyway for Lucas Moura of PSG. We have a bit of history with Lucas Moura, a player that Sir Alex Ferguson wanted in 2012, and he apparently turned us down to actually go to PSG. He's now way down the pecking order at PSG, very understandably, as he's playing, well, he's behind the likes of Neymar, Mbappe, Draxler, Di Maria, so he's behind some quality players, but he's fifth choice winger in reality. Um, at the age of 25, he's down the pecking order. A World Cup is coming up, so the move makes sense for me, in my opinion, and for him as well as a player. What's your thoughts on Lucas, Jordan?
I thought I only found out a few days ago that he was 25. I thought he was a lot older because it
Yeah,
seems like this guy's been about for a long, long time.
yeah, totally agree.
But we are desperate for a right winger.
Hmm.
We've been crying out for that for years. Um, I'd welcome the signing. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I've got mixed feelings. I mean, it's obviously a stupid thing to come out with. But I mean, we had Di Maria at United, and he's behind him at PSG. So I think that might say a lot about Lucas. But obviously, Di Maria's had a different attitude at United. So that's where I feel like that's different. But I don't really have much of an opinion on it. It's a weird one for me, but I'd be welcome to the idea of signing him.
Yeah, I think Yeah, interesting you mentioned obviously he's behind Di Maria. We had Di Maria and sold him to them, but I think he's been knocked down the pecking order because Neymar and Mbappe
Yeah,
have signed, and they are, well, they're in the top 5 players in the world, no doubt about that. So I think he's never going to get ahead of them now. Um, he did actually play quite a lot last season, which I didn't really know, but I think he made about 50 appearances for PSG last season. So he played most weeks.
yeah,
I've got some statistics here. Unbelievably, Lucas actually scored 19 goals last season for PSG and made 11 assists, um, averaging an assist or a goal every 115 minutes. And that's very impressive, isn't it?
yeah. It is impressive, and it's something that we need as well. There's not many people providing goals at Old Trafford, um, especially from that side.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it would. I'm welcome to the idea of the signing, as I said. He's still quite young. He's 25.
Yep.
Not as young as the talent that we have in Martial or Rashford or all other players we've been linked with, like Malcolm. But he could do a job. Um, yeah, why not give it a go? The rumours are that it's 25 million.
Yep.
He can play in the Champions League, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. He hasn't. Yeah. He hasn't featured in any of the 6 group
So
games. Yep.
it makes complete sense.
Yeah, I think so. And on the back of that statistic, since he's been at PSG, he's averaged 11 goals and 11 assists per season that he's been there. But he averages a goal or an assist every 142 minutes, so that's technically he either scores or he assists every game and a half, which is very, very good. And if he produced that in the Premier League, then I'm sure he'll be a success. So these are quite impressive for me. His stats don't
Yeah,
lie. Uh,
it's the consistency that's tempting
yep. Yeah, yeah,
because it's
exactly.
something that we haven't had. Although it is a huge step up,
Yep. Yeah, yeah, for
um,
sure. Yep.
it's a completely different league, completely different pace, and it. But I keep saying it, and I'm going to sound like a broken record, but it makes complete sense.
Yeah. Uh,
Um, for me, Mahrez is the perfect signing in that position. But look, it's a good price in today's market.
yeah.
I think you have to take a chance.
Yeah. I think obviously we want Mahrez, but maybe that's just because we see him play every week. In the
Yeah.
Premier League, we watch Match of the Day, we see what he does for Leicester. We don't really see what Lucas does for PSG. You see the odd video on Twitter, things like that, but
Mm.
he hasn't really featured this season. So that might be to do with it. Obviously, if Lucas was playing for Leicester right now, he might be doing similar stuff to Mahrez. We don't really know that. But as you said, 25 million, not a bad price in today's market at all. So why not? Let's give him a go on the right wing. Let's see what he's got. If he's a failure, 25 million, it's not a massive loss.
Mhm.
So yeah, as you said, why not? I think we should give it a go. Um, and with the World Cup coming up, he's got to be playing to get in that Brazil squad. So he's surely going to want the move. I think the move makes sense for United because, like you said, and have been saying, we're crying out for a right winger. I think it makes sense for PSG because they need to sell players to align with financial fair play. So I think for all parties, the move completely makes sense. So
Yep.
hopefully in next week's episode, there will be some more news on this one because I really hope we can get it over the line because I think this could be a signing that could surprise a lot of people. So let's just see what happens on that one. I know. I think it's Canal Plus and a couple of the French and the Brazilian um, uh, news reporters who have been known to be quite reliable are reporting on this one, saying it could happen. So let's just see what happens on that one. But yeah, I think we're both in favour for this signing, and it'd be interesting to see what you all think. What do you think on this signing? If you let me and Jordan know, or we'll gladly get involved in a debate on Twitter over this one. So as usual, to end the podcast, we'll discuss United's next game, which is Stoke at home on Monday evening at Old Trafford. Stoke have finally sacked Mark Hughes following their dreadful run of results, which ended at Coventry at the weekend. which Jordan said before we were glad about because it meant United's players could travel to Dubai, so that was good for us. If it stayed 1-1, that wouldn't have happened, so that was good. But anyway, I think Stoke currently managerless. That may change between now and the game, although that is looking quite unlikely. They may just give it to the caretaker for the game because they know it's probably going to be unlikely that they're going to get a result. So they're probably going to enter the game managerless. They are on a shocking run, and I'm sure they'll just want to get this game out the way with and reduce the damage. To be honest, what's your thoughts ahead of this game, Jordan?
Um, I would have been a lot more confident if Marquise was still manager.
But they've got no manager now.
Yeah, but Nottingham Forest didn't have a manager a couple of days ago when they played Arsenal.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
I think the players had stopped playing for Marquise.
Yeah, I was about to say it looked like he'd lost the dressing room. Yeah.
I mean, I watched some of the game against Coventry, the highlights and that,
Okay.
and I mean Jack Butland, you could just tell. I think by the way the goals went past him that he didn't care.
Mhm.
So I think that's what makes me not worry, but a little less confident because I think the players will be ready to go and actually be up for this one because Marquise is gone.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's an interesting point. The players can't exactly. Well, it's a difficult one to say, but yeah, if they stop playing for Hughes, then obviously they could come out this week and be a totally different team. But surely the change can't be that dramatic to suddenly going from losing to Coventry, losing to Newcastle, to then come to United and win. It's probably not going to happen. But historically, we've actually struggled against Stoke in the past 3 or 4 years. We never win away there. We never win away there since. I don't think we've won there since Sir Alex, maybe, or yeah, we always seem to struggle there anyway. But I think after the Christmas period, there seems to be a bit of a resurgence at United. We're back to playing good football. Jose seems very happy. Maybe a new contract could be on the way. Well, it's been confirmed that he's in talks, so hopefully we could talk about that. Hopefully, if that's announced soon on a future episode. And the players seem happy. They've gone to Dubai, and I think the good feelings coming back after a difficult Christmas period, and I expect us to comfortably win this one. To be honest with you, I hope and hopefully to see us produce a performance because before the Derby game, had a bit of struggle at Old Trafford. We lost to City, drew to Burnley, drew to Southampton. So hopefully we can score a few goals. And as we discussed before, the formation selection, all eyes will be on that: 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1. What's your thoughts on that?
I think we might go with the 4-2-3-1 considering we're at home. I would go with the 4-3-3, but I think it'll be the 4-2-3-1. I think obviously De Gea will be in goal. He'll return. Valencia will be back. I think Jones and Smalling will be at centre back.
Yep.
Shaw will obviously keep his place. Matic will come back. He had a good rest. I think Pogba will obviously be beside him, and then I think it'll be Mata, Lingard, Marcel, and Lukaku up front.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'd be happy with that team. Personally, like you said, I would prefer to stick with the 4-3-3. Just I want us to stick with it now and keep going with it. But if it was me, I would go to here. I'd bring Valencia back if he's fit. He's gone to Dubai though, so I think he would be fit for the next game. I'd stick with Jones because I think he's been brilliant when fit.
Yep.
I'd like to see Lindelof play with Jones. I'd like to see him have a run now. With no Bailly, Smalling and Rojo are okay, do a job, but he brought in Lindelof as he bought him as a player. Surely he envisaged that Lindelof would be first choice at some point. So why not bring him in? I think he needs a run. I think after his early season struggles, he's done well. So I would play Lindelof with Jones. Obviously Shaw has had a good Christmas period. Keep him in. Matic after his rest, and then I would play Pogba and Herrera. And then I would play Lingard on the right, drifting into the centre when he can. Lukaku through the middle and Martial on the left. I think Rashford needs a short spell on the bench, and he could still come off the bench and make an impact. But yeah,
Hmm.
that would be my team. It'd be interesting to see on your thoughts, um, listeners, on what your team would be. So after the episode, give us Hey United Talk a tweet and let us know what your starting 11 would be, and I'm sure would like to discuss that with you. All that's left is a prediction. Jordan, I'm gonna go for a good night, an entertaining night. I'm gonna go 4-0 United.
um, I think 2-1
Okay, you think it's
to
gonna be a
United.
bit more of a struggle than
I
I
think
think?
it'll be tight. I think it'll be tight and tense. It's a game we drew at home last season, so we've got a point to prove again. We've done it in other games, like Bournemouth, West Ham, Swansea, games like that. Obviously, we haven't played Swansea at home yet, but we beat them away. Um, it's games that we were dropping points in last season, so it's a point to prove.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go opposite, and I'm going to say we're going to blow them out of the water and win 4-0. So, there's the optimism. Okay, so I'd like to thank everyone that's listened to the episode. We will be back same time next week to discuss the Stoke City performance and look ahead to Burnley away next weekend. And then hopefully there'll be some more news on the Lucas Moura deal. And maybe some others, probably not, but hopefully there'll be some news on Lucas Moura. So thanks again for listening, and we'll see you all again next week. Goodbye.